Welcome to SwimBiz Pros, a conversation with some of the most accomplished sports marketing executives in the U.S., and they all have a connection with the sport of swimming. Today, we're going to spend some time talking about sports marketing as an industry, their role in it, sponsorship, social media. My name is Matt Farrell. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at USA Swimming, and our first guest today is Marshall Osborne, the Head of Sports and Music Partnerships at Uber. Welcome, Marshall. Appreciate you being here.
Great to be here. Thanks, Matt.
I think you know this already, but you have one of the coolest jobs in sports and sports marketing at Uber with sports and music. Tell us a little bit about your job.
Yeah, so at this point, I'm kind of leading all of our efforts across the globe in sports and music, as well as a few other verticals in entertainment. But my team looks after both the strategy of what we're doing in those verticals, as well as the top-level execution. So any day for me is working with the leagues, with the rights holders of a particular sport, the individual teams that kind of are inside of that sport. So, an NFL team, an NBA team, a cricket team in India, and then the sponsors that activate in that space. So when we talk about football, we partner with AT&T in a large capacity, or we partner with Electronic Arts to do things with the Madden franchise. So we kind of look at these verticals of sports and music, not just as a single partner that we could work with, but really as the entire category, and hit a bunch of different business objectives along the way.
So you've been at Uber now 4 years. What is the pace like at Uber? Does it still feel like a startup? What's life like at Uber?
Yeah, so I started the company and there was 160 people, and now we're probably close to 14,000. So it's a little over 4 years. So that's an incredible growth that we've seen that few companies ever have. So you lose a little of the startup feel when you go from 160 to over 10,000, but I think Uber does a really good job of holding on to its roots and continuing to execute very quickly. Our business is so global and so diverse that it's required of us to be able to move fast. If we move slow, we lose an opportunity to enter a new business or enter a new market first. We're battling different competitors in different markets across the world. So for us to be able to continue to grow our business, we have to be able to adapt and change and execute very quickly. So that aspect of the startup holds true, and I don't think will ever go away. It's part of our DNA. But the process and kind of coordination across teams around the world has to grow according to the size of the company. You can't continue to have functions with one or two people that work for 150 people. So things like recruiting, people operations, finance, legal, all of those things have to operate more like a large multinational corporation, even though we're technically still a privately funded, venture-backed company, startup, so to speak.
Maybe you personally at Uber, talk about some of the partnerships, especially in sports, that you've been involved with your business development role.
Yeah, so sports was a vertical, and actually when I say I would do sports and music at Uber, people are always like, what does that mean? And when I start to explain it, they really realize what we can do in that space. So sports at Uber, from a partnership perspective, is really about how do we improve the experience for Uber riders at a given event. So really everything we're doing is trying to make sure that Uber riders and drivers as well have a seamless use of our product, whether it be at the Super Bowl, the Final Four, a major golf event like the Masters, and everything in between. We don't want to serve one set of our customers better than the other, so really we have this huge focus on that. And I think a lot of our partnership strategy around sports in particular has grown from that. So that's kind of the base of it. And as we've evolved over time, it's incorporated things like our driver engagement programs that we do. So how do we take these drivers that are the lifeblood of our platform and who are usually from these cities that we're activating in, and kind of connect them into some of these local teams. So I like to say in San Francisco, our driver population is primarily from the Bay Area, whereas our rider population is primarily of people who have moved into the Bay Area. So when you're partnering with the Golden State Warriors, the San Francisco Giants, the San Jose Sharks, and other teams like that, if you're able to market to those drivers and maybe engage with them in a unique way, it almost feels more compelling because those are the people who have been lifelong fans of those teams. Whereas someone like me who moved into the Bay Area, I'm still a Colts fan, still a Pacers fan. I'm from Indianapolis originally. So we've been able to find a lot of success in that way, and I'll get into that in a little bit later. And then the third piece is Uber is an experiential marketing platform at its core. So how do we deliver experiences or deliver people to experiences? So as that pertains to sport, a lot of that is how do we unlock access to fans and non-fans in a city to something that they maybe not have been able to be a part of, or when it's the Super Bowl or the Final Four or a large sporting event like that, our take is how do we use our platform to bring access to some of these VVIP experiences to the average consumer. So you think about your kind of whatever the big event is, the Olympics, the Masters, the NBA Finals, all those things. There's all these events that are happening in that city, but they're usually held back for B2B or B2B customers, sponsors, celebrities, that sort of thing. But we want to say, how do we take those experiences to anybody? So we'll oftentimes create things like playing flag football with Joe Montana, put that at the power of a touch of a button, and allow anybody to participate, no matter where you come from or how good of a customer or fan you are.
So really sitting on our side of the table, on the property side at USA Swimming, we're very accustomed to putting forward proposals, trying to get sponsors involved. Sometimes those work great, and maybe other times they don't. When a company puts a proposal in front of you, it takes a certain understanding of your company. When they miss, how do they miss?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen thousands of proposals over the last couple of years. Not just here in the U.S., but obviously globally. I think that the two biggest misses are, one, just a general misunderstanding of our business, and that they clearly haven't done any research and don't understand, one, what we're doing in the space, or two, what our product is at its core. The other one, and this is something I think everybody sees, is when you clearly have somebody that's sending a proposal that also went to a competitor of yours and maybe has a logo or two that didn't get edited out. That's kind of a clear sign that this wasn't necessarily a custom pitch for you.
So what we're saying is partners are looking to the property, in our case USA Swimming, to create content on their behalf. Mm-hmm. How are you integrating content creation with the partners? Is that becoming part of your relationships?
Yeah, content's becoming huge for us. The challenge we have in the past is we have these amazing marketing stunts or on-demand activations that we do where anywhere from a few people to hundreds of people get to participate with them, but that's still not the scale that our business requires. Remember, we're a global company with over 50 million active users in 600 to 700 cities worldwide. We want a way for those really cool activations we're doing to reach a broader audience, and content's becoming a huge way for us to do that. So an example of something we did more heavy on the content side was with Visa at the Olympics this past year in 2014. And was that 2016? In Rio? Yeah, 2016. Yeah. Where we kind of created this augmented reality experience where you could ride in the back of an Uber and have these different sport experiences kind of superimposed onto your person, where you had like a fencing helmet put on your face, or you had a ball bouncing on your head, sort of like a Snapchat lens of sorts. And we had athletes, famous Team USA athletes, actually riding in the car with people, surprising and delighting them. And then we did that same activation in different markets all around the world, kind of showing that everyone's sharing this Olympics experience in the same way. And we had athletes from different coalitions in Rio also participate. So it's more of a unified global approach. And that content and the kind of campaign around that content was the primary driver of it. So, 50 or so people actually got to participate or meet some of these athletes, but then tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people around the world were able to watch it. And I think that's the way that you'll see us moving going forward.
Last question for you, Marshall. Just how are you looking to your partners to help you from a measurement perspective of, so you have a scoreboard for what the partnership's about and whether it performed for you or not?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we've historically struggled with because our business has grown so quickly and with such velocity that marketing in its traditional sense hasn't been a core focus of the company. It's actually something we're really just starting to get our arms around. So that sounds crazy because you're like, I see Uber everywhere, but that's just because it has great product market fit. I think what you'll start to see now is more integrated campaigns from TV to radio to digital and all those sorts of things. But what we look for from our partners is, in certain verticals, how are they measuring this, or how have they historically helped their partners measure it? Because for us in the sports space, one of the biggest indicators of success for us with a deal we do with the Los Angeles Dodgers is the increase in rides that we drive to Dodger Stadium. All of the marketing and branding assets are great and they're nice to have, but they're not something that we really know exactly how that impacts our business. The only number that we really know is changing our business is that rides number. So something that we're trying to figure out and working with our partners to do is, okay, beyond the rides piece, which is a lot easier to measure, what are all the other areas of impact for our brand and for our business through what they're doing for us? And I think that's something you'll start to see evolve over this year, not just with internally how we look at these things, but externally, how are we presenting the brand with certain partnerships or with certain properties. We'll change and evolve the activations that we're doing, not just because we're understanding what's working, but we're also understanding what's able to be tracked.
Well, it's great. A fascinating conversation. Our guest in Swim Biz Pros, the head of sports and music partnerships at Uber, Marshall Osborne. Marshall, former swimmer as well. Thank you for joining us with
Thanks,
Swim
Matt.
Biz Pros.
It was great to be here.